seems so dumb.
Amanda's back. If you listen to Amanda's first episode,
It's our best episode so far. It's the most,
It is.
most listened to.
It is most listened to.
Really?
She must have a loyal following. It's not us. It's not us. Yeah, Amanda's back, and we actually were supposed to have our buddy Alejandro on, but he accidentally double booked, so he's actually in South Carolina right now. Accidentally. Sorry.
He'll be back. He's eager, I promise.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Pat's double booked me before, but that's
For
okay.
without a doubt. Absolutely.
So Amanda happened to be on that email chain where he realized he double booked, and she jumped on the opportunity to come back with the boys. So
Love that.
Amanda, welcome back.
Thank you. I love being here drinking with y'all.
It's good.
It is one
It's
of
good. At
my
least
more
someone
favorite things
loves
to
us.
do.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you for having me. And I'm very excited to do Oregon wines like we talked
Me
about
too.
last time.
I'm really pumped for some Oregon
Wait,
wine.
was that part of last time?
No, we tasted Oregon wine one day, and I kept asking
Oh,
about
for more?
Oregon wine.
Yeah.
Well, and on
So-
like episode 3 or something, you're like, we're gonna have to have Amanda come and do Oregon. And I
Yes.
was like, oh shit, I
Absolutely.
just heard you say that on a podcast, so I guess
Absolutely.
now I really have to do it.
Yeah,
So
called you out.
yes,
And
you
you
did.
delivered.
I did. I brought 3 very avant-partier style Oregon wines, so no classics here, is what
Good.
I'm saying.
Some new world, new school shit.
We're gonna touch on some old styles, but we're doing fresh takes on those old styles. And I picked wines that I think are the direction that Oregon is headed, not where we've been.
Love that.
So I wanted to stay away from
So is there Pinot?
the Pinot. No, there's no Pinot.
No Pinot.
No
Cool.
Pinot and no Chard.
Cool.
Actually.
Okay.
So
There's a little Pinot
Oh, is there?
in the Gamay.
there is a little bit of
but I
a
love
little
that though.
yeah, a little bit. But
100%.
no, I didn't bring a classic Oregon Willamette Pinot.
Beautiful.
Nope,
I've had
not at
enough
all.
of those anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah. Do we want to jump in?
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Should we get
do it.
started? Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So, first up, this is Teutonic Wine Company. Teutonic is Barnaby and Olga Tuttle.
Barnaby.
Barnaby.
I've always loved that name. I don't know
That's
why. It's such a great name.
Barnaby and Olga. So Barnaby and Olga are a married
And
couple.
Olga.
Olga.
I know. Dude, they're like a Lord of the Rings couple.
Right?
What
So
a name.
both of German descent, neither of them German, but both of them are of German lineage, and both of them felt a calling and pulled towards German wines. So the story goes that Barnaby was working, I believe, in a wine bar in Portland. They are an urban winery, so we're in Portland.
Mhm.
This is probably about, 20 years ago. And
So they're like another divisions.
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a smaller scale,
Okay.
but yes. So Barnaby was working in a wine shop, and a distributor came in and brought him a whole selection, just a full bag of Mosel wines. And Barnaby was really taken by this experience, and he and Olga just sort of felt called to start learning about what it means to make German wine. So they went to Germany, they went to Mosel, they talked to and met with and learned from and worked with many winemakers in that region, and then they came home and they started making their own wines. So like Division, like other urban wineries, they are working very closely with farming partners, but they don't necessarily have an estate that they are farming themselves. Rather, they are helping care for the grapes and raise the grapes, helping harvest the grapes, and then bringing them back to their winery in downtown Portland and making their wines there. So what
So
we
you
have,
can go there and visit
yes, absolutely.
in downtown Portland.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that the same for divisions?
Yes,
Okay,
yep,
cool.
absolutely. So what we have here is a wine called 1908, and you'll see, you guys will see that it has sort of an old school label. It's got like kind of a,
Looks like when the Wright brothers were drawing up airplane
yeah,
schematics.
right. It's kind of an old drawing that might have been like submitted for a patent or
Yeah.
something. So the idea behind this wine is specifically that they were aiming to make what was considered to be the most famous type of wine at the turn of the 19th century. So heading into the 20th.
In Germany or?
It was being made in Germany,
Okay.
but worldwide, these were the wines
Got
that
it.
people wanted the most. And so it was this Mosel style, but dry. So what we have here is a Riesling Pinot Gris blend, but dry. Okay?
Yeah.
Fucking-
It smells so good. I'm like, should I be the dick and
What
take
is
the
that?
first sip
What
while
is
she's
that
talking?
smell though? I'm getting because it's very like familiar, and I just can't put my nose on.
I
Put my
think-
nose on it.
So for me, the
Sorry.
Riesling the Riesling shows through first, so you get all of the petrol.
Okay,
That
it
is
is petrol. That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking.
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to be like stereotypical,
Yeah.
just called petrol, but it really is like.
But that is the calling card of Riesling.
It is.
now,
It is. I know. I just was
Right? If
hoping.
you don't have that, you sort of wonder if you're drinking
Yeah.
a Riesling. So yes, that
Is-
is really blowing out of the glass. For
Is
me.
there a specific percentage of blend? Do they disclose it or no?
Well, great question, and they probably do, but I don't
It's
recall
definitely more Riesling.
off the top of my head. I'd have to check the tech sheet.
Well, Riesling's nose is always very like straightforward.
Yeah, it's very aromatic.
petrol, and they're very aromatic. So
It is. Is it technically an aromatic varietal, like a Malvasia and all that? Isn't it? I believe. I think by technicality, it is an aromatic varietal.
I don't think so,
No.
but I would not want you to quote me on that, so I'm glad I just said
Good.
it.
And don't quote me on that
I'm so
aromatic
glad
varietal shit
that
either.
I just said that on a podcast. I don't know. I don't think it is, but I actually don't know.
Well, you know what they say. What you don't know won't hurt you. That's right. It's okay. We're all right.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't wait to taste this.
I am. You
Taste
know what?
it.
I
Let's
smell
do
it and
it.
I automatically want just a fatty fish.
Yep.
Like I just want some trout crudo or something.
The silence while we all drink.
Dude, everyone licked it at the same exact time.
That is delicious.
Oh, that's perfect. My goodness.
That is
That's insane.
delicious. So,
It tastes like tomato
Scott,
skins.
if you're listening, this is delicious.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But it
Tastes
tastes
like
like
what?
tomato skins.
Oh,
love
I can
that.
see
That's
that.
a great
Like green
tasting
tomato
note.
almost in
Yeah.
a way.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm getting.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can feel it peeling off my tongue as you speak. The tomato skin.
Dude, this is
Not a bad way, in a very
crap.
good way. That's insane.
Well, speaking of that, it definitely has a lot of texture
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
And it's lingering. The texture
Oh, yeah.
even lingers for me.
There's no skin contact. Nothing to actually create that texture. It's just purely the fermentation of the juice itself. No lees or anything, I assume, either, right? That's not typically common with Riesling.
I bet there is
There is? Okay.
a little bit. Yeah, if I had to say,
It
that
feels like
texture
there
is
might
coming
be.
from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
It ain't the fucking Pinot Gris, I can tell you that.
It's probably not the Pinot Gris. So, yeah.
an Oregon Riesling common?
Yes.
Mhm.
It is.
So Oregon does great with these cooler climate wines. In fact, that's all that Teutonic is doing. Is they model their winery after basically German style, Mosel style wines. So all cool climate wines. So they're sourcing all of their fruit from higher elevation vineyards as well, and that is fairly common. I mean, there are really nice like higher elevation, cooler climate vineyards in
Okay.
Oregon for sure.
You know what I like about this wine? It's right on the brink of needing food. Like it's right there where you need some food with it because it's got that texture and it's got that acidity. It's quite warm too. Like the back of my throat's pretty warm. But if this was chilled, like maybe a couple degrees colder, I could sit outside and crush this all day. All
Yeah,
day.
it's 70 degrees outside today in
Yeah.
Atlanta, and if this were ice cold and we were sitting on the White Bull back patio,
I would kill it.
right, we would
Well, that'd be
just
gone already.
we would have finished this bottle already.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. This has been in my bag, so it's not ice cold. I love this temperature for a Riesling because I think
Yeah.
that when they're warmed up just a little, it adds extra texture.
Yeah.
And
versus
flavor.
Yeah,
and the
like
flavor
that
comes
The
out.
bouquet
Too
pops
cold.
open more. It's just
like
all
it's
around
like
better.
in my opinion, wine. So food. When people are like, "Oh, can you warm this up?" I'm like, "No, you don't want that to be piping hot.
Yeah.
You get food piping hot, you're gonna burn your mouth. Can't taste anything.
Yep.
Same thing with wine. I feel like if it's too cold, you can't taste
It's too
anything.
tight.
It's just too tight. Yeah. So.
Well, there is that phrase or that saying that we're or like sort of as a culture, we're drinking our whites too cold and our
Yeah.
reds too warm.
Absolutely.
Right. So we need to be taking the whites out of the fridge a little bit
And the same
earlier.
with the oranges too. I mean, people put them at white temperature because they think, well, it's technically kind of a white wine. I'm like, no, you really should be drinking it closer to red. You got to find like that fine line of in between
Subtle
red
tone.
and white. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem, but it's just a lack of education, as is with most things wine related, at least on this side of the world. So
What do you think about this?
I think it's phenomenal. I
this
think
might
it's-
be one of the highest rated wines for me that we've done on all of our episodes so far.
No, my highest rated white wine was the one you brought last time. The one that.
Closelle.
Yeah,
The
that
French-
was
the
Yeah,
French
the
one.
insane.
Papillon.
That
Yeah.
was insane.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was so
Yeah,
good.
that is
I
one
don't
of the
think this
great
doesn't
ones.
score as high for me, but it's definitely
I
fantastic.
forgot about that one. That one was so good.
Fantastic. It's definitely one of the best whites I've had in a long time.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's definitely one of the, and especially on the domestic level.
Yeah, without
For
a
an
doubt.
American level, without a
Without
doubt.
a doubt.
Yes. And Barnaby and Olga.
Fucking love it.
Right, I have to
I get
just
so
say their
excited.
names because Barnaby and
Yeah.
Olga Tuttle. Tell me better names.
Right,
Like you just
that's great.
cannot come up with a couple that have a better like couple name.
That's good.
They
Is it an
are.
arranged marriage?
They are.
Had to have been.
You know what? No, here's what it is. There's a lid for every pot.
Yeah.
That's
and,
true.
And sometimes the lid's name is a Olga
Yeah.
to your Tuttle,
Yeah.
you know, like to your Barnaby. So, anyhow, these guys are doing much smaller production than say Division, who's also doing the urban winery thing in downtown Portland. Although they do make a decent amount of wine, we're still talking like probably half the amount of production of some ones that we're more familiar with, like Division. Olga and Barnaby have a fantastic reputation. People in Oregon, in the wine industry in Oregon, really like and respect them. And you guys know that I love selling wines that are made by good people.
Yeah.
That always makes me feel better. I can talk more passionately about the wines when I know that they're good folks. So all of these 3 wines that we're tasting today are all from good folks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Should we go to the next one?
Yeah, what's your score?
8.9.
Hi. Really?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that shit.
8.7.
I think I'm also 8.7.
Yeah.
I almost called it 8.7, and I was like, nah. Just like
Or maybe
just
8.8 for me.
just that
Yeah.
that textural component that it had, mixed with that just the opening aroma that I got, I was like, dude, that's got to be above an 8.7
Yeah.
because I treated that 7 as that cop out
Yeah, of
part,
course.
so I was like 8.9.
Okay, we're not allowed to use 7s. I forgot.
Shame on you
I'm
guys.
just listen, I just follow the boss's lead, okay?
8.7 is a good number. 8.9.
It's not a bad number.
8.9 to me is like that number that like in one small little thing would have put it in the
Oh,
nines.
now I'm the problem.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
I would have put it in the 9s. It can't be a 9.0. It's got to be a 9.1. So
I do
that's why
like
I go
8.7 better than 8.8. There's something about it
Yeah.
that just like is more
8.8 is
appealing.
weird. Not a lot of people. I mean,
It's
I
weird.
never see 8.8
No.
in
Yeah.
a point scale.
Yeah.
See 88 when it comes to like decanter points and
Yeah.
like wine enthusiasts, but
A
you
lot
never
of
see an
those.
8.8 on a 1 to 10 scale, which is
This bottle's been intriguing to me since it's been
Since
sitting
you
on
saw the
table.
label?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The label and
Make sure that
the clear bottle
she sees
for
that label.
and the color.
Yes.
It's carbonic, I'm gonna assume.
Incorrect.
I'm colorblind and I can tell that color.
I have a lot to say about this wine. This is Larry's is the name of the winery. The winemaker is Luke Wild. So Luke, actually, his very first harvesting gig was for Barnaby.
Oh, no
Yeah.
First of all, yep. And we know about Luke and his business partner Meredith because Luke was also the assistant winemaker at Division, and we represent Division, and Division is a huge part of the Avant Parterre portfolio. We love and respect Division, so when they were like, hey, you guys should check out this winery, this person was just working for us for a few years, and we really, really like him. And so we started getting interested in Luke and Meredith's wines. And so that's how we discovered them. So together they make a label called Statera. And Statera makes only Chardonnay in Oregon. And then Luke and Meredith each have their own label as well. So
Oh.
Meredith has a label called EST and Luke has Laries. And Luke is a Dungeons and Dragons player and has played a lot. Played a
This
lot.
medieval shit today, huh?
Yep, played a lot over the pandemic. So a lot of his wines have this sort of vibe, or they're sort of named after characters or gods or goddesses in Dungeons and Dragons. So we definitely have that vibe with this one. This wine is Timora, and this is styled after kind of a Postacron. And a Postacron, for those who are unfamiliar, is a Burgundy, except we're blending Pinot and Gamay.
Looks like an acid trip.
So we don't see it that often because in Burgundy, growing Gamay is not where the money is. You don't make any money off of Gamay in Burgundy unless you're in Beaujolais. And so we don't find Postacrons all that often. This is also sort of mildly modeled after the same style of wine from the Loire Valley, where again they use the Pinot and the Gamay. But Luke is always trying to put a fresh spin on things. For me, Luke and Meredith are where wine in Oregon is going.
Oh,
This
nice.
is the future of wine. They are what I consider to be a younger generation, but they're not younger. They've had this winery since 2014. Luke has been making wine for 13 years, so they have a ton of experience,
Nice.
but they are still what I consider to be kind of the incoming generation that's really working to push the boundaries of what wine is in Oregon. Luke likes to do things like use barrels from the previous year that like maybe he was aging a white in it the previous year. Well, this year he'll age a red in it, and then maybe next year he'll age a white in it again.
I don't know why
And-
that's not more common.
Well, because a lot of people and winemakers, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, but nothing really concrete or scientific evidence
Right.
that's showing that like it can impart different flavors or different colors into
Yeah.
your wine. And what Luke wants to do is say, listen, a lot of this is just kind of urban myth stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of evidence to back it up. So Luke wants to try a bunch of different things and do things in a really sustainable way. He reuses barrels, he uses renew barrels where they are taking old barrels and basically making them new by filing them down and re-charring the inside of them. He hand bottles these.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
basically using gravity and a forklift to raise up the tank, and then using gravity have the wine be bottled through like a manual bottler. Part of that was a financial decision. Luke and Meredith are self-funded. They started this winery with their own investment. They did not pay themselves for like 8 years. In fact, it's just been recently that they've been able to start supporting themselves off of these wineries.
Wow.
They were making wines for other people on the side. Tiny, tiny amounts of wine. So a barrel, 2 barrels, 3 barrels is what we're getting for each of these. And you
Is it
notice
at least like big barrels, or is it?
I mean, no, it's just
No,
the standard, right?
it's
We're
regular.
talking about like 100 cases, sometimes less, 40 cases, right, of a release. So you made a note of the clear bottle. Clear bottles, of course, tell us a couple of things. One, they say that the wine should not be aged because we need the coloring on the bottle to protect the wine from any of the sun or any light. So immediately we know, like, this is a wine that Luke wants us to drink
No.
immediately and young. What he's going for are table wines that are delicious, interesting, made well, sustainable. He really goes the extra mile to try to make the most sustainable wine that he can. And just like the rest of these producers, they're buying grapes from different places. They don't necessarily have their own estate, but they're very involved in the farming in all of the vineyards that they use.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like it's a testament to where that new school of thought is going. Like, it's kind of like when people where they rent other people's homes and then put it on Airbnb and make money off that. That's what like these guys are doing. They're like, I'm not gonna deal with owning my own land. I'm actually just gonna buy the grapes and make some bomb ass juice out of it instead.
That's called something. What's it called? When somebody does that? It's a name for it, no?
In like the wine world,
Yeah.
arbitrage.
Is that really?
Well, that's what people do for housing.
Man called. My wife calls it something from the French term. Because a bunch of French winemakers do it too.
Oh, if it's a French term, I don't know.
Oh, like a negociant?
That's it.
Oh, negotiation. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can see, looking at this, it does have, it's not clear. There's no real transparency to this. There is some nice cloudiness to it. They're not really filtering these wines or finding these wines. They're not even really like probably racking them all of that much to get all of this sediment out. So tell me what you guys think.
Dude, all I'm getting is dark cherry
Yeah.
and tarragon.
But I feel like to me that's
Ooh,
Gamay, no?
Tarragon.
That's Gamay though, no?
Love that. Tarragon as Gamay.
No, I mean Gamay is
Oh,
dark,
dark
cherry.
cherry?
Oh, the
Like,
dark
nose
cherry.
To me,
Yeah,
like
sure.
you
Yeah.
blind taste me on this is Gamay 100%.
Yeah.
But I would never guess that there's Pinot Noir in this.
No, not based off the nose
No.
for sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it blew, like, I got the tarragon before I got the cherry. I had to do a couple more sniffs before I was like, oh yeah, dark cherry.
I want to also touch on the tiny, tiny bit of VA that we're getting on the nose here, because I think it's really important to talk about quote unquote perceived flaws in natural wines and what they mean and how they affect the smell and taste. I don't think that VA, especially in this sort of amount, which is so minimal, and VA is volatile acidity, so it's volatile, which means it's eventually going to sort of leave the glass, especially as you keep it open and agitated. I have found that VA can really sort of drop off with
Yeah.
time. But VA, we're in sort of a crisis in the wine industry right now in terms of flaws and how to mitigate that. And I think that this is a great wine to talk about that, because there is that tiny little bit, but that does not stop this from being incredibly drinkable and incredibly delicious.
Yeah.
And that, especially in regions where we're seeing climate change really impact the vineyards more so than in other regions, we need to sort of wrap our heads around some of these things just being a little bit sort of terroir. A lot of these flaws are coming from the vineyard, and that's a direct result of climate change. I don't think that the tiny bit of VA in this impacts it in the slightest for me.
I never, it's funny you said that, because I never get caught up in VA unless it's like incredibly
it really
obvious.
is like punching you in the face, right?
And at that point to where like I don't even bring it up, because some people might be like, oh, there's a little VA in here, and I'm like, so fucking what? Who cares? There's a little bit of Brett in a pet nap, but that doesn't make it a bad pet nap.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like, it doesn't matter.
Ooh, the spice
it
on
does,
this.
insane.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of
That's
good
right.
at the end.
The spice
It's
on,
great.
like,
You know what it kind of tastes like at the end? Tastes like the fucking, what's the cranberry jelly people do at Thanksgiving? Like
Out
with
of the
all your
can?
Thanksgiving spices, that's what it tastes like when you just took it and mixed it all together. I've only had that once, it's gross, I'll never do it again. But it's good in this wine.
I also think this wine is incredibly textural.
Yeah.
There's a
Without a
lot of texture.
I like how the tannin smacks you real quick and then just kind of dissipates.
Goes away.
Yeah, I like that, because at first I was like, wow, that's a lot of tannin. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was just like, peace. I was like,
Yeah.
alright, cool.
Mm.
Because you could, if you needed to, and it kind of goes with like the clear bottle. Not that it's a direct sign of the clear bottle, but whenever I see a clear bottle, I automatically know or assume that I could probably chill it a little more than a typical
Yep.
red wine.
Yep.
And the same, like those tannins at first,
And
you
pound
may be like, I don't know if I can chill this
Yeah.
enough to like enjoy, because it's good enough to drink on a day like this, or in 80 degrees, I can push it and chill it. But then once it disappeared, I was like, oh yeah, you could definitely chill it and just crush that wine without a doubt, which is what Gamay is kind of for anyways. So
Yep, my clear bottled reds are going in the fridge
just that's a Thanksgiving wine.
overnight until, and I take them out maybe 30 minutes before
Yeah.
consumption. Other people like to say, put your red in the fridge 30 minutes before you want to consume it. I'm the other way. I'm like, get it ice cold,
Yeah.
and then let me warm it up a little, and let me drink it as it continues to warm up, because I like to see
For
how it
development.
evolves,
Yeah.
right? When it's really cold, maybe like 45 or 50 degrees up until where it's room temperature in the last class in my apartment
right.
or whatever. I love seeing how wines evolve through temperature changes. And also, I like to drink a lot, and so having these lower alcohol,
Guilty.
right, like these lower alcohol, they're just like, they're made for drinking the whole bottle.
Yeah,
There's
they are.
nothing about this that says put the cork back in and
No.
finish this
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But that's also why their natural wines tend to be lower in alcohol.
Yeah.
You know,
I
more
would say
palatable.
that's probably not true. I wish that were true, but I don't think that natural wines are lower in alcohol. I think that some natural wines
True, that's fair.
definitely can
That's
be.
fair, yeah.
But there's I mean, I often get ones that I'm like, wow, I love this. I'm like, oh, 14.5%.
Yeah.
Can't drink this.
Alright, yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to put this away and hope it lasts till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the ones you can cork and put back in the fridge and get it out and finish the rest of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
For me, this is a full, once I open this is fully getting consumed. I am not
Yeah,
stopping
of course.
until
Yeah.
this bottle is empty.
What is the percentage on this one? 13?
Great question. So
12.7.
also
12.7?
on our first wine, the Teutonic was 11.7.
Okay.
It felt warmer than that.
It definitely did.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you say this one was?
12.7.
Right?
I like that. At
Wow.
the 0.7, all you ever find really is the 0.5s and the zeros.
But you know, it's also helpful to remember that alcohol percentage on the bottle is likely not true.
yeah.
Sometimes the winemaker just puts that because it's kind of what's required by law.
Unless it's California Zen, then it's definitely 15.5%.
But is it, or is it 16%? You know
Yeah,
what
that's
I
true.
mean?
Either
Like,
way, it's that or
sometimes-
up, because I take one sip and I start sweating.
Yeah.
Also, alcohol changes over time,
Yep.
right? So these are really, I try to take the alcohol on a label and use that as just sort of a jumping off point and a guideline, and know that it's mostly going to go down over time and that I'm not likely going to go any higher. But even this like 12 whatever, I mean, maybe.
Mhm.
But like it also could be a little lower. I don't know what his exact reasoning was for putting that. And also 11.73, come on.
Oh, they went 2 decimal
There's
points
no
over.
way.
That's
There's
great.
just no way that that's
That's great.
exactly what that is. It's a 2017.
Or is that exactly what it is because they took the time to actually go 2 points over?
perhaps at bottling, but I can't imagine that that's where we're at this
Yeah, that's
point.
true. That's good.
Right.
Maybe at bottling for sure.
Yeah. So thoughts?
You want me to go first?
You first this time.
8-3.
Ooh, I was gonna do an 8-2. Then I said, "Fuck that! I'm skipping 3 and I'm going to 8-4."
8-4.
Because I'm thinking if this had a slight chill on it, I would just sleep with this bottle and cuddle it.
I'm going. So I went 8-7 for Teutonic. 8-8. This is my.
Didn't you say 8-8 was weird?
I did, but now I feel like it's perfect
Nice.
because this is my style of wine. This is the
Awesome.
kind of wine that I want to drink every day. I love this Riesling blend, but that's a very specific meal for me. Timora, these table wines, all the Larry's wines.
What is your specific meal for that?
I mean, definitely. Ooh, specific meal. Since we were talking about seafood, I can't really get that out of my head.
Yeah, I thought
So-
fatty fish immediately. When
Yeah, something with like maybe like a meatier white fish. Ooh, maybe even like a. I don't want to be like basic, but even like a seared tuna could be
Oh,
delicious.
Yeah.
But also like I would honestly kill just like a bunch of shrimp
Yeah.
with this.
I could kill a bunch of shrimp with anything.
With pretty much anything. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was thinking like a seared steelhead or salmon with lentils underneath it. For some reason, I wanted lentils.
Yeah,
I like
fattier in
that.
texture,
Yeah.
and that's acidic.
What would you pair as the chef? What would you pair with the white?
Let me show you what I would pair with the white.
Wow.
We
I
made
would
this-
love
we
to
ma-
hear.
We made this dish the other day, and it was fucking phenomenal, and that's all I've been thinking about since you poured that wine for
Are
me.
you gonna plug it? It's on your IG. Is it on your IG?
I think it's on the YouTube.
Oh, okay. There
Well,
you
hold
go.
on, let me show you the video. This is it, right?
Yeah, these are really good so far.
With a caviar Blanc sauce.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh hell yes.
Good call.
Wait till you
Yes.
see the sauce.
Okay. I want this
You
already.
gotta watch the whole fucking
I
thing.
already want this
Sorry,
so
everybody.
bad.
Wait till you see the sauce.
How dare you show me this when I'm starving?
I know, I'm sorry.
How dare you?
we got cheese.
Where though?
I'm going. I'll be right back. I'll go get the cheese. I'll go get the cheese. I don't have a knife though. You're gonna have to break it with your hand.
Look at that
Dude,
sauce.
dude, what the fuck? What is?
That's salmon roe and Alcetra caviar for the sauce.
How dare you?
Right? Just that with that, I'm down. I'm ready.
What menu is that? Gonna
0. Maybe the new.
That was almost rude.
Yeah.
That was almost rude, Pat.
Found a plate and a knife.
You're like,
you go.
here is this amazing dish. I hear you're starving. Also, this is not available to you anywhere.
Yeah. So mahi mahi with the caviar beurre blanc. That's what
That's
I would
not a bad shout,
That's
Chef.
not bad at
Alright,
all.
so I
Is this
found.
mimolette?
No, it's just a nice English red cheddar.
Oh, I was
That
like,
I
did you
found
just
at
bring my
Whole
favorite
Foods.
cheese of all time?
No, but Rachel has now tried mimolette, and so does
Best
her cat.
cheese. Ooh, I'm
So did
not
her
gonna-
cat. Her cat broke into her baggins.
Oh my gosh, that's
Damn.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Your cat is like, I have the nicest taste. I require
Oh,
the
I
most
wrapped-
expensive cheese.
I wrap these quite jankily, but
I
that's.
was like, that's why you was in my backpack. All
I don't remember. I gotta
afternoon.
read cheese. It's there. We go. Honestly, this cheese right here is probably really good with that Riesling. I will say right off the rip.
Oh, we can revisit.
This is the division.
So this is Division. However, this is Gamine, which is Kate Norris. So Division is Tom Monroe and Kate Norris. They are currently business partners. They have been married and divorced. They've been running this winery together for 14, 15 years. Do great as business partners, both of them, I believe, married to other people. There's really been nothing that has stopped them from making a beautiful winery, even after sort of a, whatever happened. And so the story that Kate told me, and this was years ago, so I could be slightly misremembering, but the story that she told me is that she had been really wanting to make a style of wine that Division was not really making, and using some grapes that Division was not sort of focused on. And she wanted to make wines that her mom really liked and drank in France. I believe that Kate is of French, like her of lineage, but I'm not, I would need to confirm that. So Tom bought her, she showed up at the winery one day, and Tom had bought her a barrel of Grenache. They were not making Grenache, and he said, take it, make it, do your thing. You've been wanting to do it, do it. So she started with that one barrel of Grenache. So she makes a Grenache. This is a Syrah. and a couple others. She makes an aligote that will actually change your life.
Okay, I thought it was. I was like, this is Grenache. That threw me off for a second.
No.
Okay.
This is the Syrah. Yeah. So, but there's a couple of other really interesting things about this wine as well. So she's working with Maze Vineyard. Maze Vineyard is run by Herb Quady. Herb is famous in the wine world. Part of that is because he was Randall Graham's farming partner for Bonnie Doon. Bonnie Doon is such a historic, boundary-pushing winery, even though we think of them as maybe being like grocery store wines for a little bit. Bonnie Doon is actually nothing like that.
Why does that sound familiar?
I mean, they're just, you would just know them if you
okay.
saw them. They've been around for, I don't know, decades, since the early 80s.
Oh, wow.
So Randall Graham is incredibly important in domestic wine production, just in terms of what he's done and pushing the wine conversation forward. And so Herb was his farming partner and became very well known working in California for Randall Graham. At some point, Herb decided, I'm going to do my own thing, so he moved to Oregon, and now he's famous in Oregon for having some of the best, highest quality fruit.
Wow.
And so you're quite lucky if you get a chance to farm with Herb. And Tom and Kate think of Herb as almost being like a dad to them. That's what this relationship is like. They're very, very involved in the vineyards and helping with the management. Kate especially with this Maze vineyard. And again, these wines are made in a style of wine that her mom wanted to drink, just from being in France.
It smells slightly mentholated, which is cool. That's not typical of Syrah ever, but could be the Oregon area doing that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot happening on the nose here.
Yeah. How's the cheese, guys?
I haven't even had any yet.
Delicious.
It wasn't ideal. I just realized, I was like, I'm finally going to bring cheese today. So I didn't pick it for the podcast.
I mean, the cheese
I
is
just
delicious.
I was just like, I got cheese wrapped up and I can bring it. So,
I want to taste it so bad.
well, sir, please lead the way.
I'm going to.
Oh yeah, let me see the bottle because it kind of looks wavy.
Beautiful.
Beautiful bottle.
Wow.
Yep, so these wines are ultra small production. Division in general makes small amounts of many wines, is one of the things that I love about them. There's always something Division in stock because they always have a release. And these, though, are once a year. We get a single drop typically. She makes a very small amount. Sometimes we get 5 to 7 cases a year.
Am I supposed to know this word?
Which word
The
are you?
first word?
Applegate.
No.
The?
Ha! Wait, wine?
Wait, what? Vino?
What is that word?
Gamine.
Gamine. Okay.
Yes.
That's the name of the
The
wine.
name of her winery.
Oh
Of
shit.
her label,
Hello.
rather.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the following
I
part.
think you guys are gonna be
Wines with
mind
charm.
blown with my score on this when the time comes.
Okay, that's. I'm expecting
Have
a
you
high.
tasted it?
No, I'm expecting a
Wait
high
till you taste
score,
it. Wait till you taste it.
and you're not a red guy.
No, wait
So-
till you taste that though.
You're not a red guy and you're not a sparkling guy.
Mm-mm.
So you only drink white wine. And skin contact, rosé,
Mm-hmm.
both of those?
I'll drink red, but I'll drink the style.
He loves Cremant just like I do now
Yeah.
because of you.
Which Cremant?
I don't know, whatever you got.
He don't care. He don't care.
Let me see.
So, do you know Richard
I like Alsace
Vargas?
as a region. Like
Alsace.
I do. I love
Good to
Alsace.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
Goes with that seafood so well.
Yeah.
Do you know Richard Vargas from Atlanta Beverage?
No.
So he listens to our podcast and he texted me this morning and he just texted me out of nowhere. He goes, Cremant is French, and I was like, yeah, why are you telling me this? And he goes, I was like, wait, did I admit that I liked it on the podcast? He goes, yeah, you and Pat both. He's like, it's French. I go, I know. Eventually we're just gonna have to admit that French wine is good, especially when it comes to sparklings. And he was like, you guys want? He's like, Pat says he wants to do an all Cremant episode. I go, yeah. I was like, you want it? He goes, no, I got dibs on Burgundy.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we're recording with Richard Friday. It's not going to be Burgundy, but
France
but that Cremant you brought
For me-
is fantastic.
makes, of course, historically beautiful wines. But I drink more French sparkling than I do
Really?
anything else. Yeah, I mean, I'm like y'all. We've talked about this extensively. I lean Italian pretty much exclusively, or domestic. I think if I were to really look at all of the wine that I buy, it's probably split mostly down the middle, maybe a little heavier domestic, but French sparkling wine.
Yeah.
Hey,
Those guys
they know what
can-
they're doing.
Exactly. Those
They do.
guys know sparkling wine
Yeah.
like nobody else. and they do it like nobody else. And if you don't like any other French wines, get into some Cremants for sure, because you get the quality of a champagne without the price tag of
Yeah,
champagne.
that's why I loved it.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Oh, we had the Mont Bourgeois. That's what it was. It was the
Yeah.
Jura Cremant that you liked so much.
Dude, that was so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had to show it the rest of the day, but I really wanted to ask you if I could just keep the bottle, but I had shit to do anyway, so it's
shocked.
okay.
It seems likely that I
So shocked.
drank the rest of it when I got home.
It did, yeah. It's okay. Alright, it's fine. No, you gotta go first.
I gotta go
you
first?
talked all that shit. You got,
Yeah.
or Amanda can go first. She chooses
You
to
go first because
Yeah,
I went first the last time. You
How
went
much
first
oak
this
does this see? Did you say or no?
I didn't say.
Sorry,
I
put you on the
don't
spot.
know. I actually don't know.
I
Off
would
the
say
top of my
probably
head.
anywhere from 12 to 18. I don't think it's at that 24 mark or anything.
I also don't think it's at that 24 mark.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is 14% alcohol.
Yeah.
See? So like natural wines don't all have to be that
Glue.
that like low glue, but isn't this does have a little bit of like you could lug this down 5 to it.
You can. You gotta be careful.
You'd be
but you can.
shit-faced at the end,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Fantastic.
you definitely can.
This needs to be outside at the back of White Bull one night when we're grilling off lamb.
Yeah, slightly colder outside.
Yes. Yeah, but
Yes.
so I can get that slight
Yep.
chill. Yeah.
You know, just kind of reviewing the
Wait
tech
till next
information,
minute.
she's actually not saying what how
How
it's being raised.
Oh.
Yeah.
Heard that.
So
Hey,
we're gonna have to just make some educated guesses.
we're gonna tag her.
She'll tell
Hopefully,
us.
hopefully she'll tell us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give this wine. I'm gonna take one more sip before my final
Yeah.
answer. Hang on.
Oh, I took one more sip, but I wasn't thinking of a final answer. I just wanted to drink
Mm.
I knew it the minute I fucking tasted it.
it. I know you made it
The
known.
minute I tasted it, I knew what I wanted to score this.
Man, this is really good. This is like a 9 or 9.1 for me. This is definitely up. This is up in the 9s.
All right,
for sure.
so I'll go next. So we'll save yours for
The big reveal.
Yeah, the big bang. I actually am at a 9.1 as well. I am at exactly a
Man,
9.1.
I was a 9-1. This is fucked up. This is so fucked up. Dude, the minute I said
That's
it, I
what
was
you
like,
get for letting us
I
go
know.
first.
Yeah.
I know. The minute
Wow, we totally
We
just
will
stole
steal
your
your
thunder.
thunder.
Right?
Yep.
the minute I tasted it, I was like, this is a 9-1. Right now, right at 9-1. It won't. To me, it's not a 9.3 or higher. It's a 9.1 because I want to drink the fuck out of this wine right now.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Heartburn and all?
No, I don't have any heartburn. It's weird.
This also does
Zero.
not bother
Zero.
my very sensitive esophagus
Yeah,
from
zero.
drinking all of that aforementioned sparkling wine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wait, is that a thing?
I mean, I just find that carbonation is really
Yeah,
hard
absolutely.
on like if you have acid reflux and stuff.
I was
definitely
gonna
makes
say,
it a lot
the amount of
worse.
Campari and soda I drink, I am screwed.
Well, the Campari helps.
yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it
It
is.
is medicine.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were fucking great. All three were fantastic.
What do these retail for?
Yeah, start with the white. What would that retail for?
And who do you, if you know, if anyone has it right now that they can maybe potentially scope it out?
So if it's not on the shelf at your local wine shop, any local wine shop in Atlanta or the state of Georgia could get it for you.
Right.
Really. I can't think off the top of my head. Probably Elemental Spirits would have it.
Yeah.
They love Teutonic and have put a lot of weight behind Teutonic.
Three
so
Parks has a good amount of Oregon stuff too, right?
Three Parks has an amazing domestic selection. Sarah Pierre is a big proponent of French wines, but also domestic wines. Teutonic is probably going to run you around $30.
I think it's worth it.
Same. Timora is going to be under 30, but like
Really?
Dude, really? Oh,
Like
over,
right there, maybe like 28.
Yeah, like 25 to 28. Yeah.
dude.
And
This
then
has got to be 70, 80 bucks a bottle.
I'm going with $53 on the shelf.
Oh my god, I love hearing all of this, and I want to just like ultra confirm. Hang on, I'm so sorry. I know we're on and I'm like, hang on, but I just want to like make sure because these are wild guesses, you guys.
Damn, don't tell me it's cheaper.
Oh, so much cheaper than what
Sure.
you're both saying
Oh.
right now. Yes, absolutely.
Dude, hey, go buy this bottle.
For real.
Take a look at this shit one more time and go buy
For
it.
real. All three of them.
Go buy them, all of them, except the Al Capone. You can get that at your local Walmart.
Not the Pana.
Oh, you can't age this, by the way. It's in a clear bottle.
Yeah.
Take note.
So, gonna be running you 35 to 40 for that bottle.
Dude, I am
Well worth
gonna blow so many people's minds with that one.
Well worth it.
This would be great with Mimolette. I'm just saying, if we had some,
It's Rachel's phone.
that would be
Mhm.
perfect.
Can't bring
If
it.
I
her
agree.
cat hadn't eaten it all, maybe we'd have some
Right.
Mimolette.
Which cat was it?
Hero,
Hero.
the little chubby one.
Of
That
course.
explains it.
Yeah.
Explains it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
All right. Last thoughts.
You got anything to say for the peeps?
I mean,
Drink Oregon wine.
drink Oregon
This
wine.
style Oregon wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, be aware of how climate change is impacting us domestically. We know that climate change is obviously like an issue worldwide, and it's having a bigger impact on some regions over others. So, for instance, some regions in Italy are harder hit, and the same is true for the United States. So, Oregon, we know, is having terrible fires. California, we know, are having terrible fires. All of this is really impacting the wine industry in these places. Same on the East Coast. The East Coast is doing great about really being forward looking and trying to work with hybrid grapes, which are a bit hardier for weather. And also, like, Luke makes a white blend with apples. So we're also looking at different kind of co-ferments.
You guys carry that?
I do carry
Dude,
it.
that sounds sick.
It is so good. I almost brought it, but I decided on Timora.
It's okay, it was a good choice.
But what I would say about Oregon is just keep an open mind. They get hammered every other year with just crazy fucking weather. So in 19 or 20, we had the terrible fires.
I
In
never really paid
21
attention to their weather.
21, they
Bad.
You
had.
just think that the fires are California, like you don't
Bad.
think about Oregon.
No. And then they've had these heat waves. So last year they had that heat wave, or 2 years ago, where they were having 115, 116 degree weather. Think about what that's going to do to a grape in July.
Destroy.
Yeah,
Right?
within a day.
So I would say just always keep an open mind, and also just support Oregon as much as you can, because these winemakers are so salt of the earth, so wonderful. We want them to be successful. We want them to continue to make great wines. And these are all beautiful wines. They've had great vintages, but they have tough vintages just like California does.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, let's just keep an open mind about what wine from these regions is going to taste like, and try to be ready for some new expressions. Be ready for some co-ferments with fruit. Be ready for some different kind of terroirs. Maybe get your head around, I don't want to say smoke taint, but maybe just like a little bit of smokiness in
That's
our wines.
I've
from
never
those.
gotten to try a smoke tainted
Yeah.
wine yet. We gotta do like an
Well, I'm
episode on
pumped,
that.
Yeah, and they're trying hard not to let smoke taint into their wines, but the only way to really not is to strip the wines, and then
Yeah.
you don't have a natural wine anymore,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of these winemakers are being faced with sort of existential questions that really make them take a look at their whole winery and their whole just like philosophy and say, how can I still make wine when all of my grapes are smoke tainted? And so they're coming up with a lot of these very creative solutions. Some of them are making younger wines that are meant to be drank right away. Some of them are infusing fruit. Some of them are making more like aperitifs. We're going to see a lot of cool aperitifs
Yeah.
coming out of
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah.
So I just think keep an eye on it, keep an eye on the weather, see what's happening, but also just like continue to support them through bad vintages, because these three winemakers right here, these are important winemakers in
Yeah.
Oregon. We don't want anything to happen to any of them, and all of these folks have been making wine for at least 10 years or more. So they're so deeply part of the Oregon wine culture, and I don't know, I feel so invested in these winemakers, and I want the most success for them, and I know that they are facing very hard times. We have no idea what this year is going to bring. We have
Yeah.
no idea what next year is going to bring.
Yeah.
We were having fires in Itata in southern Chile.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Climate change is affecting the wine industry in new and exciting ways
Yeah.
every single year. And Oregon is one of those places that's really hard hit. So I would just buy a bunch of Oregon wine, drink Oregon wine.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
That's my takeaway. Drink
I
Oregon
would, I
wine.
would say that like putting the apples in there or any of the fruit is pretty natural. Like you're gonna tell me thousands of years ago when people were only making natural wines, like they weren't probably putting
Oh,
some other shit in there.
absolutely! They were
Strawberries.
Yeah,
putting all
Couple
kinds of
persimmons.
fruit.
a couple rose petals.
That's it.
Why not?
They were putting shit in there that we don't even have
Of course.
anymore.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You
Not a
know.
doubt.
Yeah.
So
And then they made vermouth.
That's it.
so where do y'all enter? I know you gotta run, but like from where we were a year ago, where you guys were just like domestic wine, not for us.
Oh, domestic wines for me.
I am on an Oregon kick right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've
I want
definitely.
more Oregon wine.
I love it. I feel like I've been watching you sort of be like, oh, okay, like, this is not exactly what I thought it
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
Is
I actually
maybe-
want to buy some Oregon wine soon from you.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Great, let's do it.
Yes.
I would love to sell you some Oregon
Yes.
wines.
So the more Oregon wines that you have, even if you just have in your bag and you're like, Pat, where are you right now? I'll meet you anywhere just to taste the wine.
Okay, let's do
Wait,
it.
wait, she does that to me.
Call me.
Alright, that's fine.
That's it.
Rendezvous here
That's
in
it.
the room.
That's it. Little
Impromptu
impromptu wine
podcast.
tasting. I love it.
I can't top what she just did.
No.
So
You just
I'm
say
just gonna
drink more
say
wine.
drink more juice, especially the Oregon stuff, obviously, because that's what the podcast, this episode's about. And then also, don't be afraid to grab that clear bottle.
No.
Don't sleep on the
No,
reds in the
drink
clear
it.
bottle.
I love
Don't
that.
think it's some childish juice. Don't think it lacks depth or complexity just because it's not in a fancy Pinot bottle or in a fancy, Riesling bottle, nice and tall and slim. Like, go out there, seek out a clear bottle, whether it's a liter with a crown cap, whether it's just a regular old cork in a clear bottle with some acid trippy Dungeons and Dragons art. Seek it out. Try it.
There is an Oregon wine for everyone,
There really is.
I
including
agree.
the Dungeons and Dragons player, right? Like, there's literally a wine for everyone in Oregon.
I imagine off of like 1.5, 2 glasses on an empty stomach, Dungeons and Dragons is probably pretty fun.
We'll get the cheers on.
I was gonna say, can we
Damn.
cheers?
Oh yeah. Oh, who poured me? What is this?
I
Syrah?
just- Thanks for
Cheers.
having me.
Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you guys.
Next week, guys. Have a good one.